I'm going to get us started tonight, guys, because I got several announcements to go, and want to give Dave plenty of time for his demonstration tonight. So, Jack, are you going to roll the PowerPoint? Yeah, there we go, because that helps me kind of keep in line. Welcome, everybody. Glad to see everybody still popping on. This is becoming the norm for us, I guess, but I don't want it to be, and I sure would like to get back to normal sometime soon. Want to welcome any new members. I can't see everybody's face, but if you're a new member or a visitor, why don't you unmute yourself and say hi to everybody and let me know who you are. Okay.
Hi, I'm Rick.
There we go. I cut you off. Go ahead and say it again. Rick, is that right?
Yeah, hi, I'm Randy Lawson, and I've been a member since August, but this is the first time I've been able to sign on. So, but I'm looking forward to learning everything that you guys know.
All right, stick with us. We'll pass it along pretty easily. So okay. It's nice to see you and nice to have you here with us, Rick. We're kind of struggling through this pandemic situation as a club, but we've got a pretty good group here. I think I'm getting some feedback potentially, Rick, from your speaker. So if you wouldn't mind muting yourself. There we go. I'm going to get through as many notes as I can here, and then we'll hopefully get right into the presentation or the demonstration for tonight. But just want to let everybody know, Open Shop continues in October. It's the limiting still to 10 people. Still haven't seen it exceed even about 6 people at the typical Saturday, and I know that's the heaviest used day. So feel free, if you're wanting to get some open shop time, feel free to get down there, but please use the Sign Up Genius to reserve a spot. We're trying to keep that all logged and make sure that we're trying to keep within our 10-person limit there. Thanks again this month to all of our shop openers, and especially Anthony, who stepped up and taken all the extra evening dates that we couldn't get an opener in. He's willing to open up and close that night. So thanks to all of you. Just a quick mention to please remember to take the time to clean up after your open shop turning. It's important that we keep the place as clean as we can. If you haven't checked it out, please take some time and jump onto the Etsy and look up the Hand Turn KC site that Ann and Sean have put together, and I think Ann's pretty much running it now. It's pretty limited. I'd love to see some more donations from our members. It's an opportunity to bring some funds into the club that we're sorely missing this year. There's also some opportunities for individual members to start their own Etsy site and tie it to the Hand Turn KC. Do remember, if you're searching for it, that Hand Turned is 2 words, Hand Turn KC. And then if you have an item that you'd like to donate for the sale for the club, just contact Ann Molina and she'll get things set up, let you know what she needs, and I think she'll help take pictures if you don't have pictures. So please take a look at it and get excited about it. It could be a great opportunity in the next coming year and the years to come to get a steady stream of income potentially coming into the club if we can keep some donations coming through. So thanks everybody that's donated so far. Thanks to anybody that's considering donations. Appreciate it. As always, report any maintenance concerns to the KCWT board if you are in open shop and see something that isn't working or functioning correctly. Reminder that the October 31st is the drop-off for the finished pins that we are putting together for the Freedom Pins program. I plan to be in the open shop area from 9 a.m. till 12 p.m., probably a little longer if necessary, or a little earlier if necessary. Mark Inman will probably be there with me, and whoever else wants to be there to receive the pins. We'll get the pins over to Sean. Sean will take some photos, and then we'll get them gathered up, and Mark will package them up and get them sent off to the Freedom Pins program. If you happen to want to, you can send directly to the Freedom Pins program, but wanted to thank everybody for their support of the project. Sean, I know you put in a lot of time on some pins, as well as a terrific demonstration last month. So thank you very much for your time on that. Speaking of Sean, Sean was trying real hard to coordinate a Christmas sale with the woodworkers. There hasn't been a great response, and I think he was ready to kind of throw in the towel. However, I got an email this afternoon that there might still be a little life in that idea. So, Sean, I'm going to give you a minute or two here to tell me what you know on that, so everybody's aware of what you need to know in order to kind of keep this thing rolling.
Well, the guy I was working with, Micah from the guild, said that he had a friend who had a space that was available, and they are advertising it, and he was going to send me some more information. It's off-site, but it would still allow for us to be able to sell some items of a Christmas nature, and he was going to send me the information as soon as he had it all put together. So I would imagine within the next couple of days I'll get some.
Okay, great. Thank you. We'll look for the information on that, though. Please remember, when you see that information, that you know, we're not running into each other at open shop and such like we used to. It's harder to tell Sean, hey, put me on the list, but please contact Sean if you've got an interest and would be willing to provide some time to that effort. I think, Sean, it was talking about maybe a one-day event now. Is that? Okay. Yeah, more of a one-day event. So I think we can step behind and help Sean out. I'm sure Sean is feeling the shock of not filling his time with the Irish Fest this year, so we need to make sure we give him the same kind of support we give him for the Irish Fest for whatever we can pull together for this Christmas theme project. We'll look forward to hearing more from you, Sean. Appreciate it. Wanted to make sure, if you haven't heard me talk about it or seen the stack of items that were on the tables inside the open shop, we've got a big wood and tool sale on Saturday. It'll be from 9 to 2. And I'm telling you, when I was there, we were taking pictures of all the quality items that were there, left from here. He has a lot of nice things and a really good taste in wood. So there was some awesome exotics, and I saw a lot of ebonies and hollies like I'd never seen before. So if you're interested in getting some exotics or getting any kind of wood, there's a great assortment and a lot of nice tools to go along with it. So it'd be worth the look, and I would suggest you stop by and check it out. That's this Saturday from 9 to 2 p.m. You won't want to miss it, and make sure you tell your family and your friends about it too, because word of mouth is going to be where we're getting our people from. So I appreciate everybody, and I'm telling you, don't miss it. You'll be sad you did. So let's see. Still plenty of club member support opportunities. Ann Molina would love the assistance with the club Etsy site. So if you have any desire to help out in some way, contact Ann, see if there's any way that you can help her out. Sean continues to appreciate any kind of help he can get on articles and information that he can put into the Wood Chips newsletter. Just send the information to Sean. He'll work it in there as soon as he can. Sean would like to thank everybody that has sent the projects and descriptions and the photos so far. He's got a really good response. He was really appreciative of that. Let's see, consider becoming a board member at large. Ooh, there's an idea. Everybody should be knocking at our doors wanting to be a member at large of the KCWT board. That's how you get your ideas and get your thoughts out there so everybody knows what they are. So the slate of nominees for next year is going to be presented tonight, but any member can become a member at large, and if that is a desire of yours, please let one of the board members know. We'll get you on the list and get you in there. Reminder, if you use Amazon, that we do have a Smile donations site for KCWT. I think there's information in the Wood Chips about that. If you have any questions, Kevin Neely, shoot him an email. He'll be able to tell you how to get that set up. But it's basically a stream of income off of your normal purchases. There's no added cost to you. It's just a benefit to the club as a donated item. Kevin also wants to get updated photos of members and some of their favorite pieces or their favorite piece, put their faces to the pieces on the website. So if you have some photos or if you have something that you need photoed, and let Kevin know, and we'll work something out so we can get you and your favorite piece up there on the website. It's always nice to see the people and the kind of things that they do when you're looking through there.
Look out, Bill.
2021 KCWT elections are coming soon. In fact, it kind of slapped me in the face when Mike Thomas reminded me that, hey, we've got to have a presentation of our slate for the meeting tonight. So you're going to see a very, very familiar slate for next year, as was our slate for, or our board for this year. It's listed here. I will return as president unless somebody can oust me or somebody really wants the job. I'd be willing to talk to him. Mike Thomas said as long as his vices don't get in the way, he'll be vice president again. Kevin has agreed to return as treasurer, thank God. And Sean, I didn't get a email back from you, but I'm assuming if you're working on next year's Christmas deal, you're probably going to be our treasurer again next year, right? All right. And our members at large are going to again be Sue Bergstrand, Anthony Harris, Mark Inman, Ed Jasnik, and Ann Molina. Ed, I'm sorry, I tore your name up, your last name, but you know who you are. Love to see more members at large. We have no problem with having a little bit bigger board. So if you've got any kind of desire, talk to the board members. We'll get you on the slate next month during our Zoom meeting. And I am not exactly sure how we're going to do it. We'll probably have to work that out in the board meeting. But we're going to vote on the slate of nominees. It's been pretty easy in the past, so we'll probably just all raise our hands in the video and see if we can't get a big enough count to make that happen. Let's see. All members are open to run for any position. Just let the board member know. Full slate of nominees will be listed in the October Wood Chips. Have you ever dreamed of being president of the board? You should thank your board members for their support of the club. I threw that in there because you need to realize that the board's kept this thing rolling, and we're keeping the club healthy during all this pandemic stuff, and it takes a little effort to do that. Oh, and I apologize. It seemed like there were a lot of notes this time, but I want you guys to be as fully informed as possible where we're not getting together as much in person. Full slate of nominees and voting on the members slate will occur at the November monthly meeting. This month, the board will be voting on nominees for the Hall of Fame, Legend, Most Improved, and the 2020 Iron Turners. Actually, the Iron Turners aren't voted on. Sean establishes that on participation during the month or during the year. So we'll establish a list and vote on that on next month's meeting. These will be announced at the Christmas party in December, which is going to be our monthly meeting in December. Will be a holiday party with masks and social distancing as much as we can accommodate. Good news, it seems like this makes it feel a little bit more normal. Anthony is going to offer up another beginner spindle turning class in early December. We're just waiting for Anthony to kind of tie down the dates, and we'll get that out to everybody. But for those newer members that have been looking for an opportunity to get some professional advice and direction, Anthony's a great teacher. I've taken several of his classes, and this would be one that you won't want to miss, especially if you're really dying to get some more, go to that, step it up to the next level. There are lots of opportunities for live stream demonstrations and forums and other opportunities in a live stream format that are out there right now. Mike Thomas said, check the AAW website for listings. I heard somebody talk about a Meet the Woodturner, which was a free, just jump in kind of a meeting. So there are a lot of things out there that weren't there before the pandemic that have become more the norm now because of what we're going under. So check into those when you get a chance. Let's see. Oh, wanted to let everybody know that Ed excuse me, Ed J was the winner of the silent auction from the top guys. I was there when he picked it up. He was excited and was really excited to have a couple of hours of one-on-one tutorials on that too. So thanks, Ed, and thanks to the top guys for the September silent auction items, much appreciated. This month, there we go. This month, and we're still voting through Friday on Tony Giordano's Osage Orange vase. Let's see, Jack, can you go to the photo of that? It's a Osage Orange vase that also has it's epoxy inlaid, or not inlaid. He's used epoxy as well as polys, I believe, and it has kind of an iridescence to it. It's really nice. So check that one out. Bidding on that is still open through Friday of this month. Let's see. Sorry, I got to catch up. Okay, can I go to the next slide, Jack? There we go. The November silent art auction is a donation that will be provided by Ed J. And Ed's created a very nice 10-inch diameter maple walnut segmented bowl, as you can see pictured there. It's a beautiful piece, and we're looking forward to being able to bid on that. And that will be as of after Friday of this month. You can start bidding on Ed's piece. So thank you, Ed. Thank you, Tony, for your donations and your support of the club. We really appreciate it. November meeting is going to be another professional turner live stream by John Beaver. The subject matter is going to be beginners segmented turning. So I hope you have a chance to join us for that. We will have a requested $10 donation, but we'd just like to see a lot of people show up for it if you have an opportunity for next month. Oh, okay. Tonight, instead of Effie presenting Effie's safety moment, we're going to get a special presentation by Dan Carlson. It's going to remind us something to think about in terms of safety. So Dan, hopefully you can unmute yourself and I'll let you talk for a little bit.
Okay, there you go.
Can't see myself. Yeah, I don't know how long I can talk, but just, do you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. And
Okay.
Jack, can you stop the slideshow? Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, I'm just gonna say, you know, if you pick up a bowl and put it on the lathe to don't start out at fast speed, start out at low speed and use the proper glue when filling cracks. That would be my recommendation.
Dan, does that recommendation come from personal experience by any chance?
Yeah, the bowl kind of flew apart, hit me in the arm. So I have a plate in my arm. You can't see the scar anymore.
16 screws.
I don't know. That was what, 2 years ago. So
I remember you being in a cast for a while. So just another reminder to everybody.
I have
Go ahead,
Chris,
Effie.
I want to tell everyone that they need to be cautious and be aware and expect to be safe, and don't be always caution and expect everything to come at you, and just be safe.
Sometimes I think it's as easy as staying out of the line of fire, you know, just knowing when to be in the line of fire and not be in the line of fire. So good points, simple points, but something that should always be thought of. The first thing is trying to be safe when you're on the lathe. Okay, so I'm going to introduce you all to, or I'll let David introduce himself. David Bartlett has been a past member of our club as well as a longtime member of the Northland Club, and he's going to do our presentation tonight, and our presentation is going to be on a captive ring wedding goblet or goblets. So David, thank you for joining me in, and I appreciate your time, and I'm turning the mic over to you for our demonstration tonight. Thank you all.
Well, thank you all so much. I definitely appreciate the opportunity to come and help out. And thank you, Jack, for letting me use the AV equipment here in his shop. I'm seeing what it's like to be organized, which is scary to me. I'm not sure how I can handle that. But I want to add one safety tip too. I'm using my Andy Reid face mask here so that I can talk and whatnot, and not worry about anything. But if you use a chainsaw to rough out your bowl blanks and get bowl blanks ready and things like that, a pair of steel toe boots and a pair of chainsaw chaps. Yes, you too can wear a pair of chaps. And I'm telling you about that because I have a friend about 3 years ago that didn't have the chainsaw chaps on when he was out cutting firewood instead of wood turning wood with firewood. And he can tell you about 156 stitches wide. Those chainsaw chaps would have kept him from cutting into his leg with a chainsaw. So, and what the chainsaw chaps are made of, they have Kevlar inside. And so when the chainsaw hits it, the blade hits it, they just shred, and they bind the chainsaw blade to make it stop. So for about $50, you can save yourself a trip to the emergency room. There's my safety tip for the month. And yes, you look kind of goofy wearing chaps when you're out there cutting wood or whatever, but you know, a few minutes of safety helps out a lot. So, all right. So I already have the piece mounted on the lathe, and let me hold the captive green goblet up again. I'll do it down here. Oops, let me find the right spot. There we go. Okay, that one. Okay. All right. Thank you, Jack. So what it is a captive ring goblet where of course the rings are on the piece. I don't add them later. And yes, I have hollowed it. One of the things I like about virtual meetings is no one can reach in there and find out how smooth it is. So, because you all know we've gone to that wood turning meeting, the first thing somebody does is stick their finger inside your hollow form to find out whether you sanded the inside. So that's the one piece there. That's one of the things I'm going to work on, and a couple things design-wise before you get started. You have to decide whether you're going to make a flute or a goblet. So rounded, or will it be more of a elongated shape? That's something you have to think about and decide. Since this is not going to be something anyone's ever actually going to drink out of, I think that means a lot too. Most of the time people are just going to look at it and go, oh, when they look up there and see their wedding date on the bottom of it or something like that. So I think that's the important piece to remember, is this is a not a functional piece, which means you can really get artsy if you want to. I'm not one of the people that gets into the wood burning or piercing or anything like that, but that's definitely an option if somebody wanted to do that. Few of the things on this that I think are of note or importance is we're going to do a little bit of hollowing. So it'll have some hollowing in the project. There will be captive rings, of course. And then the last part that I think is important is well, I already mentioned the design aspect, but kind of go into it thinking about it. And sometimes the wood tells you something different after you get started. For those people that have never had a catch, like Chris and Sean and Effie and a few others, you don't know what that is, but sometimes your wood tells you something to do something different. And all the options are open. You can do whatever you want to as far as the design, the size, the shape. When I started practicing this to be able to do it, to make it for a cousin's wedding, I was using very little. I mean, I made tiny ones, which I'm not trying to get in any miniature contest, but yes, you can make tiny goblets as well. I do recommend, though, if you do it, use really big tools, so it looks more impressive when you do it on video. Some of you out there would remember when I made the spinning tops with a 1.25" skew chisel, and they were the spin tops would sit on the tip of a pen or on the eraser of a pencil. So, all right, get things started. Almost got me bring my card over. So now you could actually get things out and look and decide where you're going to do what and whatnot. Start thinking about where's my lines going to be, where's the stem going to be, and so on. Right now, all you want to do is just do a little bit of shaping on the end while you're still supported in both centers. Okay. And since I started this at home to be able to start fresh, because I didn't know Chris was the one going to be talking all the time, I was expecting to be Sean take up the mic. Whoops, take up the majority of the mic. But so I went ahead and got things started before I came over. So I'm just getting it back in the round. One of the things to remember when hollowing, you don't want to remove your weight from the middle of the mass, from the middle of the piece. Because if you remove your mass out of here, you lose that support when you start getting inside the hollowing and cutting. So I'm just going to do some rough shaping right now. And I'm using a spindle roughing gouge. So that's kind of what its job is. And I will lay out, again, I pen here. Since this is, I started out with a 6-inch piece of wood, I'm going to say my end of my goblet needs to come down to about there, maybe a little further back. And I need to give myself plenty of room to make those captive rings. Remember where I put tool, there it is. So just use a parting tool here for a minute. I'm just going to kind of lay this out for myself. And believe it or not, I did sharpen tools today, so hopefully I'll look like a halfway decent turner. Now I'm not doing anything other than getting just a very rough shape into the piece. I'm not even worried about that little tool mark right there. I think we'll go with it right there. And that is purely just laying it out. That's all I'm trying to do now. To get it to where you can kind of see that goblet shape. That's all I'm going for. So now I'm gonna take this back. Take the tailstock out. Is that okay right there, Jack? Okay.
You want the tailstock off?
No, I'm going to use the, I'm gonna do my drilling now. Okay, here's my tip. This is not a safety tip, this is just a tip. I learned from a Northland turner. Instead of using a drill bit to do your drilling, because those of you who've ever used a Forester bit, it leaves that big hole in the bottom. A 1-inch round over router tool bit. It leaves a really nice rounded over finish in the bottom. And if you're smart enough not to mess with it, when you start doing your hollowing, you keep that nice bowl shape in the bottom. So I'm going to get this ready to go, and then I always do my drilling in a 700 RPM range. And I'm actually, here's your other tip, okay? Rare earth magnet on the end of your key. When your key stays in place. I'll slide in, and I'm going to let it self-center. Then I'm going to tighten the tailstock down. Drill a little bit, back off, let the tool off.
David, how fast do you got it running? Do you know?
Again, let it cool off just a moment. Now, a router bit doesn't have the nifty response, and it's not spinning at high speeds like a router bit normally would be in this case, so it's not going to clean the tips out as well, so you're going to have to stop and do that more often. think that's a good place to stop. You all know those wonderful rules of wood turning, right? So I'm doing about right there. So that's where I'm at as far as depth. So I need to go a little more. I'm going to stop right there. Do just a little clean out. And now the most important thing you can do, get that drill bit well away from your arm, because that is hot right now. So now it's time to hollow. And again, I wanted to make sure to leave plenty of mass up here to support my hollowing. If I did a show of hands now, I suspect I would get, oh, how's he going to do this? Is he going to use a scraper? Is he going to use a bowl gouge? Or what is he going to do? Well, on end grain, there's lots of different theories and thoughts. Some people hollow end grain only with scrapers. Some people use a combination bowl gouges scrapers. I'm one of those combination guys, and I kind of do what the wood tells me is working. I'll start with a scraper and see where that goes. If I'm impatient, which does happen from time to time, then I will switch over to a bowl gouge. Actually, I think I just lied. I'm going to start with a bowl gouge. Because we know how to use a bowl gouge, right? How many of you ever used a bowl gouge, right? We know how that works. So, get my tool rest here, because I want the cutting point to be just above center. About right, yep. Okay. Oops. Sorry, I got to reach to the other side because that's where my. Oh, and I should have said, when I was drilling, I like to drill about 500 to 700 RPMs. Kind of depends on where it's at. The router bit can be pretty aggressive, unlike a regular drill bit. And I want to speed things up. About 1,000 is what I'm going to hope to be. That usually feels about right to me, especially on something this size. Hey, I had one of those catch things, you know. Apparently I'm going to have a lot of them. So we'll use the bowl gouge, we'll flip it around and use it like a scraper. Now you hear that bouncing, that vibration? First thing you do when you hear vibration like that, it means you're way out over, you're not supported in any way. The first thing I always do is I go to my chuck and tighten my chuck. Just because vibration likes to wiggle things loose. I almost forgot one thing I didn't do. Let me find the number one jaw on your chuck here. There we go. I'm going to mark my piece down inside these grooves here so I know where the number one jaw is. Not that I'm speaking from experience or anything, but if it comes out of the chuck, I know how to put it back in the chuck. So that was, I didn't have a whole lot of success with that bowl gouge. Funny, I sharpened all this stuff this morning. Let me get a better angle reaching around here. I'll make myself a starting point. Yeah, I'm not having much luck there. We'll go the other way. I'll go to the scraper. And for those of you wondering, yes, it is a Craftsman scraper. I need to raise my tool rest a little bit. Because when you scrape, you want to scrape down. Now, something I was taught a long time ago with scrapers, when you use a scraper, you want to put your arm over the top of the scraper. Okay? Because if you don't put your arm over the top of the scraper, look what can happen. Pow! Come up and hit you in the jaw. And that's not a happy thing. Okay? Unless you're used to being hit in the jaw, and I'm not sure who wouldn't be in that category. And remember the scraper, you have to take a very light cut. How are we doing on the camera? Okay. I'm not getting my head down there to look. I'm kind of just doing this by feel. And then some of those have to come with time. However, I will give you a pro tip. If we ever get to go to a restaurant again, a bendy straw. Anybody ever blowing the sawdust out of a turning you're working on and got it right back in your face? A bendy straw solves that problem. You can buy a whole box of them for under $6, okay? So, I have kids. I have bendy straws in the house. Now I'm starting to make my cut back up underneath. So I'm starting to work on the outside wall. And I'm sure you all remember the #1 rule of wood turning. The inside out bowl is a funnel. There's quite a bit more down, way down in the bottom I got to clean out. Okay, so I'm going to stop it here and take a little quick feel inside. Scrapers are not known for their nice, soft, even touches. So it's pretty rough inside there. Got quite a lip down in the bottom. I still have to remove. And I need to do a little more work with the sides because I don't have an even wall thickness. Now right now, because remember, I haven't shaped the outside of the bowl yet. So what I'm going to do, as opposed to shaping the outside and then making the inside match it, I'm going to shape the inside and then make the outside match the inside to go for thickness. So it's much easier to get thickness right by cutting on the outside where it's easier to make a cut. So I've watched a few videos and whatnot, and they will tell you the exact opposite of that. Okay, so that's just something that I found I like. I'm going to try just a little more speed so that helps me with my cutting. Oh yes, that makes a big difference. And for those of you wondering, this piece started out as a 3.5-inch square block of hard maple. And as much as it is tempting to reach your finger in there while the tool rest is there to find out what it feels like, how it's cut, don't do it. Unless you've always had a lifelong desire to be called Stumpy. Now I'll stop and see what it feels like in here. We got quite a ridge I've got to get rid of in the inside here. But my thickness right here is in good shape. That's actually really nice. So now I need to go a little further. Right there is really nice. I need to work in here because I have a very thick ridge right there. So I need to work inside that middle. Okay, I'm going to raise a burr back on my tool. You can buy a deburring tool, but your other high-speed tools will work just as well. The manufacturer probably wouldn't recommend that, but it does work. Yeah, I've done a little better getting that ridge out, but I still have more to go. I've got a lot of weight right up in this section to remove. I'm going to switch to a different scraper. Now that I've got a bigger hole to work with, I can go to a bigger scraper. And when I mean a bigger scraper, I mean a bigger scraper. I'm going to give myself a little more room from the tool rest here. And the bigger scraper also allows me to have a lot more weight behind it and hopefully make a little finer and nicer cut. Not one like that. It's getting better. Still not quite at this place I want to be. I've got right in through here on the inside, still got a ridge. I'm trying to remove ridges. Ruffles, potato chips, ridges are good. Wood turning ridges are not. Uh-oh. I may have made a bigger ridge there. Clean that up just a little. I got rid of the biggest ridge there. This is going to give me a nice goblet shape in the bottom. I may just stop with that because that's actually not a bad spot, not a bad shape. So I'm thinking about the inside so I can bring this outside down smaller, make it the right fit and shape. So let's do that. I think we're ready to stop hollowing. One thing I have learned, too much hollowing can get you in trouble. I'm sure no one here has ever made a mistake when they're turning. I'm quite familiar with how that works, but I will move the tool rest out of the way and show you how I sand the inside. Okay? So, because there will be some wood turner that will look at your piece and actually want to know and want to look at that and say, hey, I felt inside there, I can feel it. It needs sanded more. So, our friends at the discount tool store, they have like forceps you can buy. And then I put the sandpaper, fold it over in half, just like so. Oops. Right. It clicks in place on the back, and I can reach up inside there and do that sanding and not hurt my fingers. Okay, I've become quite fond of my fingers. They are what provide me with sustenance and food. So I like to keep them in place if I can. I will slow down the lathe while I'm turning. While I'm sanding, I mean. Because the one thing you never want to do while you're sanding, and you never want to wrap something around your finger when you sand, because if the sandpaper is wrapped around your finger and it catches, now you've just twisted your finger into a really nasty mess. I got a ridge right there I gotta get rid of. Someone should have told me there was a ridge right in there that needed sanded. Needed cut better. Oh. I may have to ask Sean to borrow some of his 60 grit gouge. It's coming. The last thing anybody wants to watch during a demo is someone sand. So I will keep moving right along. I'm considering every one of these goblets I've made thus far practice and prototype. And yes, in case any of you are wondering, yes, I have thrown a goblet off the lathe. It's usually followed or by an explicative. And then another explicative when I have to get on the floor and chase it behind my lathe. Getting there. Yeah, I can live with that. Especially for a demo. So that's sanding the interior. Okay. So now, do a quick stop. Once again, I'm going to tighten it up. Because I'm going to be putting outward side pressure on the outside. Hollowing puts pressure this direction. Cutting this way puts pressure this direction. However, my tool should be sharp, so I shouldn't have to worry about that portion. Okay. That's the wrong tool. I also forgot to mention something down. I'm going to show a tool here for a moment. I found this at Menards. I will tell you, I'm not. This is not product placement. This is just the fact that I found this. It is a a headlamp that attaches onto the brim of a hat. I won't shine it directly at the camera, obviously, but you can get an idea how bright that is. That's what I wear when I hollow, because then I can get my head around there and look inside and actually see what it looks like inside the piece. So, okay, now I'll go back. Thank you for changing the cameras. I appreciate that. And even though I had rounded it out, get it even again, get it in balance, I did get just a little bit out of balance when I was following. I can feel it. This is where you get your opportunity to practice your big bead. That's essentially what this is a really big bead. I'm gonna stop so I can reach inside and feel where my contour is at. Yeah, so I need to take a lot more material out in this section right here. So a good shape through here, a good thick, pretty even thickness. Doesn't need to take a little right there. But then I need to taper down quite a bit.
And then you're going to run over well with the tight end. Broad remains limitless.
Getting close to the thickness I like down here. And bottom is pretty much, here I'll mark my finger, bottom is pretty much right where I end at that edge. So yes, I could use fancy calipers and measure that all out, but these calipers work really well. Now I'm going to work on actually refining the shape of the bowl. And at this point, I know some of you all would reach up and grab your skew chisel because you want to show everybody how impressive you are with the skew chisel. That's not me. So I'm just going to kind of do a little scraping around the edge here. And my goal is to get rid of ridges. A little screeching, that's the tool not being held securely to the tool rail. Rough spot right there. And remember, this is just really big spindle turning. You always want to cut downhill. I got myself into a moment of insanity there and cut uphill. Still got a few ridges and rough spots. And I will show you the best way I know. Find out whether or not you have high spots in your tool in your piece. This was taught to me by one of the KC group woodturners. You take a flat edge of some sort, doesn't matter what it is, ruler, the saw, and you roll around. If there's any point where it stops and gets flat, you don't have a curve. You have flats, you have hills and valleys. I got one right there. It works best if you can look at it with light behind you. Then you can find them. Yeah, there's one right there. Otherwise, the curve's not too bad. So I worked just a little right there. I'm not going to get crazy though. Uh-oh, I know I got crazy. No, I think that's still okay. Only cut your workpiece back here. You'll flip your finger out of the way. Check it up here. You can run down inside the tool rest. Yeah, I think I'm ready to sand. Or I will declare I'm ready to sand. And at your office supply stores, you can buy a magnet binder clip. But you can put your sandpaper in, stick it right on your lathe. Keep it handy. Now, you may have noticed I didn't cut the end here. I didn't make a cut. I just straighten out the end. I go with just use the sandpaper to clean that up. That will take that ridge off where it's not sharp anymore. Ooh, that's coming out nice. I just ran through the grits of sandpaper. Look at that big ridge in there. I don't like how it's sanded. The outside looks really nice. I can go ahead and apply finish to the bowl. I like to use a paper towel and just clean off first, get any dust that's off there, first. This is a padding lacquer that I found at Woodcraft a really long time ago. And I've had this bottle of finish, and I've almost finished it. I've almost used it up from Woodcraft. I've had that bottle of finish since before Sean was a member of the Kansas City Woodturning group.
Was that the 1800s?
No, but I understand television was still in black and white then. My memory's meager, so I don't try to guess those things anymore. Okay, so that's it for the finish on my bowl. So now, the fun part, the captive rings. So this time I actually will get out a, I thought I laid my calipers on, I guess I did not. There we go. So I have my captive ring tool. First, let me just take a minute and show you the captive ring tool and talk about it for a minute. Okay, I keep my captive ring tool inside of some plastic tubing so the tip can't get destroyed. You can see the tip of that captive ring tool. Over here, there we go. So you can see it's a fairly fine, sharp tip because that's how you reach in behind and cut the captive rings. Okay. So you can hone this on a grinder to keep it sharp. I just use a honing tool because that makes it work for me. I like that a little better. So that's what I use to do that. So, but what you need to do, you need to make a bead to match the size of your captive ring tool. So mine, I know happens to be this is the, I believe it's the 1/4 inch captive ring tool. I can't find my 3/8 captive ring tool, but a 3/8 inch captive ring would be too big on a goblet this size. It would look out of place. If you're going to make a big goblet that's longer and taller, then I would go with the bigger size. So I did bring my parting tool here to lay this all out. Find it again, there it is. So I will lay that out now. I'm going to take the space, just get some space here. I'm not going to take it out of that one. I'll save that one in reserve in case I have to have it. I just realized I got to take a lot more material off this so I can put this stuff again. So, some of roughing gouge, here I come. So I can't make a captive ring that's bigger than the bowl. That would just look funky. There we go. All right, that looks like that would be about the right size ring. I'm glad you all didn't let me make that mistake. Get my pin first. Set it up here. And marks. And I will work on either side of that to bring it down. Make sure you make a release cut so you have room to make the cut. You want to also have some extra room out here so when you're cutting that captive ring, you'll have room to bring the captive ring tool around. So now I'm just going to turn a bead. Uh-oh, I looked carried away on that one. You don't want them to be perfect anyway. If they are perfect, I suppose you could actually charge for the work. That's a pretty good looking bead as far as I can tell. Yeah. And I'm going to go ahead and sand. This may be your only opportunity to sand that bead. But I guarantee when you cut it off of the piece, you'll never be able to sand the outside of that ring again. Oh, dude. All right, so now, bring the tool back up, and I'm going to slow it down a little bit. And my bead's still too big. My Cappy ring tool won't go over it. I need to make my bead smaller. I was kind of afraid of that when I was cutting it. But hope springs eternal within the human breast. 5 bonus points if you know where that what poem that came from. Let's see if I'm there now with that, with the Cappy ring. Oh yeah. Yeah, I'm there now. I should go back and sand it, but we'll go ahead and just make the Cappy ring. So what I'm doing is I need to keep my tool even with the ring, like it's writing the bead almost. So we'll cut that side, then we'll cut on the other side. So I'm cutting in with this point in behind there. I'm going to raise my tool rest because I think that I need to get up closer to the edge there. Yeah, that feels better. So the Cappy ring tool is a scraper after all. You want to make sure you pull straight back with the Cappy ring tool. Maybe thinking, wow, Cappy ring tool is really cool. Can I do this with something other than the Cappy ring tool? Why, yes, you can. When I started with this, I didn't have Cappy ring tools. All I had was a skew chisel, and I actually happen to have a pick that was used to clean out small parts on it for engines. I need to get some more room for my ring tool to come around here. Okay. So that's what I use is that pick. It's actually for cleaning out carburetor pieces and parts. There, I got a cut behind it. A little more aggressive than I wanted, but I got it. I'm going to put a hard spot in a hard maple there. I'm just about to cut it free. So I'm going to stop and do one bit of sanding. Because again, once you cut it off, you'll never get to sand it again. Unless you do it by hand all the way around the ring, very, very slowly. And I think there's probably a reason a lot of us became wood turners. Because traditional carpentry goes really slow. And there are times when I am patient, other times when I am not. Now the captive ring tool and cutting it around behind there. Reminds me of a joke I once played. Yes, there will be a comedy routine as part of this presentation. Oh, I'm free. Y'all saw it, I hope. You saw that move. Something behind on this side. There, got it. Okay, so that's free. So now, set my captive ring tool over. Can't roll off. Lesson learned. Do a little bit more cutting. Now, that's sitting there all by itself. It's not moving because it's not free behind it. I'm going to leave that alone and not touch that. That is a lesson I have learned over the years, is because if you don't, if you cut it all the way loose, the captive ring's going to be bouncing all the way around, all over the place. So I'm going to just use this one here now. I know I was a little bit big on that last one, so I'll go a little smaller this time when I start. Get my, oops, I'm going to drop that tool rest again. I'm going to cheat for a minute. I'm going to cut in behind there a little. Give myself a little more clearance room. And go back to my spindle gouge. Make a bead. And all else fails, get a sharper tool. There is a reason why I have 4 spindle gouges. It's amazing how much better a turner you look like when you have soap skills. All right, sanding time. So I'll tell that joke now. And this goes for wood turning. This is actually a really important principle of wood turning. Do you know how you catch a unique rabbit? There's got to be at least one dad out there that knows this dad joke. Unique up on it. So it's very easy to make a cut that gets things out of control real fast. Whoops, I'm standing in the wrong range. Whoops. I think this one's still too big for my captive ring tool also. So we'll find out in a minute. No, we're in good shape with this one. I'm undercutting that behind with the parting tool helped a lot. Got a lot more space behind that one. That came pretty quick. I may have gotten impatient with that one. I'm in great shape time-wise. I was worried where I was time-wise. I'm in great shape. Okay, so you can see that one actually wobbling. So now go ahead and cut those free. They can move. All right, move over. Get out of the way. There we go. Give it some room to roam, right? All right, that ring is hung up. Oh, that makes me unhappy. Okay, so I got to cut in behind that ring, which is why I have a huge chisel. I know the ring is free. I just have to get in behind it and nudge it to come loose. All right, ring. There you go. All right. And that made that big click noise. Now my heart stopped for just a moment there because I was concerned. Because when you've broken a captive ring, when you're near the end of your project, and you've already cut all the rest of the waste array. That's why I left this all back here, all this meat. In case I broke one of the rings when I was making them, I have plenty of more ring space to take rings out of. So we got 2 successful captive rings. Came from the piece there. So now I will put the skew chisel away. Yay. I'll go back to my parting tool, get some more room, get a flat behind here. I'm going to go ahead and stop with that and get my shape of my goblet done. Blending the shape of the bowl is one of the things that I found the hardest thing, because you want to keep it where you can see everything. So last year, my wood turning journey changed. I became a wood turner with bifocals. So I noticed my neck is sore the day after. I won't ask for a show of hands of anyone who can relate to that, but that's something I just happen to notice as a byproduct of wood turning with bifocals. Now, we've got a shape here, but we have to decide how thin we want the stem to be now. I blended that in pretty well. That looks pretty nice. But the bottom of my, use this for scope. Right there is where the bottom of my bowl is. So I can't go shorter than that. So I need to continue to kind of keep my my curve here on down in. So let's keep the curve going. I'll leave it thick right through there. But right after that, I can go down. I got myself over here. There we go. Now I got rid of that ridge. Okay. And then sand the bowl. Sand the bowl sounds like something from the Karate Kid. But I know there are some of you old enough to remember that movie. The original version. Still different shaped goblets I've ever quite made. I like that actually. Put some more wood out on the back edge here. That's what I was told definitely not to do. But I'm going to use a spindle roughing gouge to remove. I should be using a parting tool.
So David, do you have different tools for different rings size?
Yes, I have a, the tool I used tonight was a 1/4 inch captive ring tool. I also have a 3/8 inch captive ring tool. They also make a 1/2 inch captive ring tool, but I can't imagine how big the goblet would be if I were going to do a captive ring for that. I think that would be more on chalice, not goblet.
Thanks.
Oh, thank you, Jack. I looked over and saw my tool start to turn. Now, what I'm working toward now is just kind of uniform thickness. I'm not going all the way down to the final size, because I want to show you something really important about captive rings. This is one of the neatest tricks I ever learned wood turning. The other one was it's really important to do the, and how important it is to be the sommelier for the Christmas party every year. So, the real question, how do you sand the inside of the rings? Well, you sand the inside of the rings by using a piece of tape and a piece of sandpaper, wrapping it around here. And as that spins around, you're going to hold the ring and you're going to sand. I'm going to turn the speed down. I'm going to spin the ring around. So it sands the inside of the ring. Go back and forth a little bit as I go circle around it. That's actually sanding the inside of the captive ring. Because who wants to hand sand any more than you have to? Oh, I see you yawning, Chris. Suck that president's pay for that. Take away his presidential plane. So that's that one. Now I'll go to the other ring. Just make a circle around first. I'll go both ways here. I'll do my little wiggle. I'm kind of looking at the shadow inside the ring back here, so I can see how much sanding I need to do. Okay. So that's sanding inside of captive rings. And I have all the rest of the grits of the sandpaper that I can actually go ahead and walk on through. But again, watching someone sand is not very much fun. Okay. So, but you get the general idea. And you can see that did a really nice job of sanding the inside of that ring. Okay. So you'll still have to do a little bit of hand sanding on the sides, but that takes care of a lot of this hand sanding portion. So the inside of the rings, because there will be a wood turner you're going to show this goblet to, and the wood turner is going to reach in there and feel how smooth those rings are. I can guarantee it, which is why I don't invite wood turners to any events I give gifts for. So now I'm going to get this spindle down to the size that I want it. And I'll go with my parting tool for that. Actually, I could go with let's go with a cutting tool. Parting tool is a cutting tool, but it's, to quote Obi-Wan Kenobi, it's a weapon from a more civilized age. Now, the fun part here is now you got to deal with these captive rings in the way. That was a really big cut. I'm scared. I don't like pieces of wood, chunks of wood to come off that size. I do think I need to add a little decoration down here right at this point. So lay that out. Oh, 2 chisel time. I'm not trying to turn a bead with this each of these schematics out there. I'm just getting it laid out. Sanding will take care of that the rest of the way. Let's see how this going on. I'm going to speed that back up. I'm trying to cut a really small spindle and I'm going slow. Spindle turning light speed. Especially with the smaller diameter. Sometimes speed is bad, sometimes speed is good. Now this is a fairly short goblet. So you can get away without making a very thick stem. You can leave the stem fairly thick. I won't take a show of hands nor ask hands to see how thin I can make the stem. The thinnest stem I've ever made is a 1/4 inch. And I was very nervous the whole time I made that 1/4 inch stem. Now at this point, if you're thinking about it, resist the urge to go back and cut anything out here on this goblet, because that is getting really wobbly now. You can't see it in the camera. You wouldn't be able to see if we were doing this live either. But trust me, it's wobbly out there now. It's unsupported. Let's take a little more off. Let's get this thinner. I think we need to make it thinner to make it look right. Hear that bouncing? And it's unsupported cutting.
David, have you ever used a big cone on the tailstock? Have you ever used a big cone on the tailstock to bring up to your goblet for
I
support on
have
the
done
other side?
that. I do like the cones when they go into the end. However, I think it's more fun to take a chance while you're doing a live demo, you know, making a shape. No, I'm teasing. But yeah, I have used the cone out there to support it. And Jack did offer me one. I actually forgot about it. I'm thinking that's actually a pretty decent sized stem for this. It kind of fits well with the shape and size. And then do a little more cutting off the edge here. So now I'm just going to do some stair steps here of what I want this to look like as far as the bottom. Because I want it to have a nice shape to the base too. And the stair steps help me to kind of lay out what I think it ought to look like. Plus, don't forget you need to make yourself a cut at the back so you don't get too close to your head, your chuck to cut yourself. Get yourself into a bad spot. So I don't want to tell anybody, you know, tell any stories about anyone about hitting your chuck with your tools. That's a bad deal. So now I'm just going to kind of start shaping my goblet base. Now I don't want my goblet base to be bigger than the bowl, obviously, but you also want it to be stable enough you can still use it. I'm just kind of working here to shape it down. Okay, now a captive ring. And you can tape those down out of the way. But I think it's kind of fun to leave them moving. Adds to the mystery, right? Good. I think that's actually a really nice size for the base. I'm gonna go for a slightly undercut base, just so that might make them kind of a nice visual. Okay. Well, it's time to sand again. I know. Paint dry, grass grow, sanding. Now, I will say one more thing about making captive rings on these goblets. I have heard of people taking the captive ring, taking one of the two captive rings and breaking it. And prying it apart ever so gently and slightly so that you can intertwine the two rings. Okay? Every time I've tried that, the ring has broken. So if you are going to do that while you still have the material to make more rings. Okay, after you've done your sanding of the inside of the rings though, okay? Can it be done? Yes, it can. Have I ever done one successfully? No, I haven't. So we will not be showing that technique here tonight. Okay, let's clean that up just a little bit more. Have that little undercut base there. Now I'm going to angle my tool and cut a little bit underneath so it is concave. That just makes it easier when you do your final finish sanding to clean things up. It's about the same size as the stem on there, so I'll do one last sanding to clean up the very rim of the base. Now that I have that space free. So I'll do my last application of finish. And I finished the captive rings themselves after I've done all of the turning and after it's off the lathe. I'm sorry, I'm making jack shots smell really nice right now. Okay. That's it, we're finishing. So I'll get it up here and I'll finish it up. I'm going to cut just a little more here, but I will not part it off with the parting tool with the lathe running, because I don't like to do cleanup work on the bottom of the piece. And I had my little saw here earlier, there it is. This is one of those flush cut saws so you can actually bend it. And there you have it. Now, the question that always comes next is, how do you do the bottom? Well, now I get that cone that we're talking about, or I use a waste block up here and put a point in here. Got just a little bit of time, but I'm not going to try to show that. Normally, how I do the bottom of goblets is I do it all by hand. I'll get a cordless drill with a sanding pad on here and sand this all down by hand, as opposed to trying to mount it back on the lathe, because now I've just got this little spindle in here. Well, this is a fairly thick spindle. Anytime you try to remount this up here, get any wobble at all going on here, and as you make this cut down here, that wobble can then mess up the rim. So for me, and the way I always do it, I always finish it off by doing the bottom by hand on my goblets. Have I done it the other way? Yeah, of course. But this is what I feel gets you a better finished product. So there we go. And we have a double captive ring goblet.
Nice job, David.
Thank you.
Looks good. Now, do you usually purposefully not put finish on the interior?
Oh, I did put finish on the interior. I just didn't talk about it. I gave it just a little light touch. I will do more finishing on the interior after I oh, what do you call it? When I do the final sanding on the bottom.
Oh, okay.
And since, like I said, I know this is not going to be used, find out which way to move the camera here. There we go. It's just going to be for decoration. That's what will come out, and that's how we'll look at it. So.
Excellent.
But Because I have heard of people doing like a CA finish for the interior so someone can actually take a drink out of it and whatnot. But again, I think this is just a decoration piece that people will be looking at to enjoy as a keepsake item.
I agree. I've made a few of them, and they're always a keepsake. They set them up on a shelf and look at them. Now, the way I heard the Scandinavian wedding goblet described was that if the guy wanted to stay married, he'd go out and find a nice piece of dry wood, because if the rings crack, then the wedding or the marriage is annulled. So if a guy didn't want to stay married a long time, then he'd go get green wood so they'd make sure that it would crack. I don't know if that's right or not, but I heard it that way. All right. Well, everybody, let's thank David for his presentation tonight. It's always fun to see. I have a couple comments on this. The ring cutting tool, those aren't really high dollar tools. I mean, they're in the $30 to $40 range or under. So don't be afraid to go investigate those.
Find something black to put up against. Here we go. So you can see it.
Yeah. I have made them before, but they're so inexpensive to have one or two sizes in your tool chest just to have when you need them. Captive rings amaze people.
Yeah. And as a lark, the first time have been a captive ring turner for a long time, because it was one of the things that brought me to wood turning, because it was so cool to see and watch and do. And I believe it was Maker Faire, and I'll let Sean confirm. I think that's where we were at, in the Hall of Union Station. And I stood there and just cut captive rings. And I had a 4x4 piece of hard maple, and I just cut captive rings. I kept bringing the diameter down smaller and had big captive rings, small captive rings, and really tiny ones. I believe I turned 38 captive rings on that 8-inch block of hard maple, and 3 different sizes. I couldn't find it, or I would have brought it to show off tonight. But that was it's just fun to watch. And like you said, it captivates people. They stand and watch you make the rings. When it cuts loose and then they can see it move, there's nothing quite like it. And I still have it on a shelf at home somewhere. I just have to find it. But yeah, I had 39 rings. That's the one where I tried to see if I could break one and make him tie them together. And so I only have 38 captive rings on it now.
I remember seeing that piece. That was several years ago. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, thank you, David. Thank you for your time and effort, and a great demonstration tonight.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Challenge for next month?
Challenge, David. Thank you, Jack. David, you are responsible
for a
for
show and tell item I have to show off too.
Oh, okay.
I made a captive ring, or not a captive ring, but a natural edge bowl that I had found in a scrap bin that I was going to use for firewood. It had been dry about 6 years, I'm thinking. And so it came out. I was really proud of that I was able to turn it after all that time. That's walnut sapwood.
Walnut sapwood. Good job.
Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you again, David. And moving right along, we're running a little long tonight, but I want to get into, let's see, next month's challenge, David. We need you to define the challenge for next month.
Oh, you want me to define the challenge for next month?
Define the challenge for next month.
Well, I think a captive ring goblet would be a lot, because people may not have captive ring tools, but Amazon delivers fairly quickly, I hear. However, how about a goblet?
Okay.
I think a
All right.
goblet would be a good, because it gets you hollowing, spindle turning, and maybe see who can do the most narrow spindle in the goblet.
The narrowest spindle in the goblet. Okay. All right. Thank you. Thank you again.
Thank you. I will send pictures in. I can send an actual, Sean does a newsletter?
Yes.
Okay, I will send in some pictures of the goblet, finished goblet, for the newsletter.
Perfect.